Cam Ward made his NFL regular season debut yesterday against the Denver Broncos, and Cam Ward was the best player on the offensive end yesterday for the Tennessee Titans. You may listen to his numbers and you may say, how is this a good game? Because he was 12 of 28, 112 passing yards, 0 passing touchdowns to 0 interceptions. He got sacked 6 times. It was so many drops in this matchup by the wide receivers. Your leading wide receiver was your running back. Tony Pollard had 1 catch, 29 receiving yards. There's your leading wide receiver. Calvin Ridley comes out, the highest paid wide receiver on this roster. You're a true number 1 wide receiver. He had so many drops in this game. He was terrible. This is the worst game I've ever seen him play in his career, even dating back to his time at Alabama. He looked better with the Atlanta Falcons. He looked better with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he did have good moments last year. He had over 1,000 receiving yards. I still think that he is the true number 1 with this roster. I still think that he is the best wide receiver, but you have to put in a better effort than you did yesterday against Patrick Surtain and the Denver Broncos defense. And I understand the Denver Broncos defense, they're one of the best defenses in football based off of last season and in this matchup. But when you pay Calvin Ridley that much money, you expect for him to elevate his game in moments like this, and he did not do it yesterday. He had 8 targets, 4 catches, 27 receiving yards. That's pathetic. Chigga Kongwo, the tight end, he had 3 catches, 19 receiving yards. Gunnar Ham, 1 catch, 16 receiving yards. Alec Manor had 7 targets, 2 catches, 13 receiving yards. He would have had even more receiving yards if Coach Callahan would have come out and challenged the play. Alec Manor had his elbow down. The play should have went for a conversion. It was 3rd and long. Instead, the referee said that it was not a catch. Coach Callahan does not challenge the play. They go out there and they punt the football. That's bad coaching because it was a catch, in my opinion. Cam Ward is running for his life. It's the same dumb play calls that Brian Callahan had last year with Will Levis. And we'll talk about those play calls here in a second. But Cam Ward's escaping outside the pocket, making these sidearm throws, and the wide receivers constantly let him down. As soon as he snaps the ball, he has pressure in his face. This offensive line has been a massive problem now for the last 3 years with the Tennessee Titans. And you've invested a lot of money on this offensive line. And I said this in the offseason. I'm going to say it again. When they brought in Dan Moore Jr., that was a huge mistake. You're paying him a lot of money. This is the player that allowed 12 sacks last year. I know that you have Bill Callahan. He's Brian Callahan's dad. He's one of the best offensive line coaches that the NFL has seen in recent history. Everywhere he has been, he has produced some top offensive lines. But it's only so much that you can do with a player that's just not good at his position. Dan Moore Jr. is just not a very good tackle in football. As a backup, maybe. As a starting tackle every single week, especially as a blindside protector to Cam Ward, I just don't believe in it. Maybe I'm wrong. But based off what he did with the Steelers and what he did in this first matchup, he doesn't look good. Peter Skoronski, young player. That's a very good and a very talented guard. Cushenberry, you brought him in free agency. He tore his Achilles last year. He's had some up and down moments in his career. He was a very good center his last year with the Denver Broncos. And as soon as he gets into a groove last year with the Tennessee Titans, he tears his Achilles. Be on lookout for him. Maybe he can play at an elite level. We'll see. Kevin Zeitler, he's a veteran at the right guard position. And you have J.C. Latham. He had to exit yesterday's game with a hip injury. Be on lookout for that to see if that lingers for the rest of the season. But this offensive line is still an issue. When you have Brian Callahan, the head coach and the main offensive play caller, who did not call plays with the Cincinnati Bengals, by the way. He's going out there, he's calling plays deep down the field, long developing routes to Calvin Ridley, the same with your tight end and Alec Manor. And you're going against one of the best pass rush units in football. You're not giving Cam Ward check downs underneath. You're not giving him that help as a head coach, as a main offensive play caller. Those are basic fundamentals of a head coach, especially a head coach that's going to go out there and call offensive plays. Your team was not prepared. You had a lot of penalties last year with the New York Jets. So what happened in this matchup against the Denver Broncos? They had 13 penalties as a team for 131 yards. Their offense only had 133 combined yards on the day. You almost have more penalty yards than you had offensive yards. That's on the coach. You're not prepared to go against this team. The scouting report definitely wasn't there. You have Cam Ward running for his life instead of coming up with easier concepts for this young quarterback to digest and to read through. Because when you look at Cam Ward, what separated him from every other quarterback in this year's draft class, I know what a lot of scouts said and a lot of analysts were saying, this is a weak quarterback class. Sure. But he was able to go out there and make programs better. At Incarnate Ward a few years back, at Miami. He's a transcendent talent. He's a quick reader. He can scan the field at a quick rate, get the football out quick. Every sack is not created equal. When you want him to throw the football 15 to 20 yards down the field, he's capable of doing that. But what makes him so special is that he can get the football out so quick and he can kill you with quick game. They could have ran a lot of high-tempo offense yesterday against the Denver Broncos because they had the Broncos on the ropes because of how amazing their defense played. But the coach let him down. I felt so bad for Cam Ward. It's a 15-second clip going around on Twitter and Instagram. He gets the football to Calvin Ridley. He escapes two defenders. Calvin Ridley drops the football. Cam Ward, dad, stands up in the stands. He just shakes his head and he sits back down. This is going to be a tough year for Cam Ward if the wide receivers cannot step up and this offensive line is going to be this terrible. It was a one-man show yesterday and they let him down and you still only lost by 8 points. This is how the Tennessee Titans looked last year. A terrible offense and a strong defense. They had one of the better defenses in the NFL last year. They had 4 turnovers yesterday on the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix had 2 interceptions. And what does he do after the first interception? Coming out of halftime. What does he do in the third quarter? When they get that turnover on Bo Nix, that could have been a game-changing play right there. You run the football 3 times in a row. For majority of this game, it was run, pass, run, or it was run, run, pass. That's on Coach Callahan. Right before they went to halftime, the Tennessee Titans, they have the football. The Denver Broncos, they have their timeouts. You're in the back of your own end zone and you're throwing the football not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row. And you say, well, Coach Callahan's being aggressive. Let's go against that argument. When they were across their own 50, he settled for a field goal. It was 3rd and 10. He ran the football. You're being aggressive in dumb moments. It made 0 sense to go out there and have 3 passing plays in a row before halftime. You run the football. You take those timeouts away from the Denver Broncos. Hell, you run it 3 times in a row. You punt the football off. You believe in your defense because your defense has saved your butt all the way through from last year and also in this game. You play off your defense. But Coach Callahan didn't do that. He got aggressive in dumb moments. His coaching doesn't make sense to me. In those crucial situations, he always does something stupid, even dating back to last year. And Will Levis gets a lot of hate, rightfully so, because he was a turnover machine. But I'm going to say this right now. Will Levis did not look that bad with Mike Vrabel and his coaching staff. Mason Rudolph looked bad last year with Coach Callahan when he pushed him into the game when Will Levis was out dealing with a shoulder injury. Mason Rudolph did not have those bad moments with the Steelers and their organization with Coach Tomlin. You're not coaching the players up to their strengths. And this is a young head coach. He's in over his head as a head coach with this organization. He is not the right coach to have to develop Cam Ward long term. And I look at the owner that the Tennessee Titans have. She is so impulsive. I don't want to hear this BS that she's trying to keep continuity, that she doesn't want to fire Coach Callahan because she wants to keep the coaching staff with a young quarterback. That was not the case with Will Levis. You got Mike Vrabel out of there quick. You fired 2 general managers back to back. Rand Carton only lasted 2 years, and he did a solid job, in my opinion, of bringing in the right talent. You've went through general managers. You went through head coaches. This is an front office problem, and it starts with ownership. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing. And you hired the wrong guy to be your head coach. And look, maybe I'm wrong. We may come back in 5 to 8 weeks, and you may say, hey, you were wrong about Coach Callahan. But I know this. When you constantly have penalties as a team, and this happens from week to week, you're coaching that in practice. You're not grilling your players and practice on that. And it's not happening on the defensive side of the ball as much. It's happening on the offensive end, and that is his unit. As a head coach, you take care of every single unit on the field, offense, defense, and special teams. But the unit that he specializes in offense has been one of the worst offenses in the NFL since he's been a head coach. And we've seen a lot of coaches get fired after 1 year. There was a lot of reports coming out last year from a lot of Tennessee Titan fans and reporters. They were saying that, hey, the Tennessee Titans, they're not as high on Coach Callahan, but you bring in someone like Cam Ward, maybe he can develop them. This is not the right direction to head towards. You got outcoached by Sean Payton. You got outcoached by Vance Joseph every single drive, and yet this game was still close in certain moments. Everything just unraveled late in the matchup. The Tennessee Titans should have had this game won if they had a better head coach, because their defense really went out there and they balled out on Bo Nix and the run game for majority of the game. And Cam Ward did not have a costly turnover. Those 0 interceptions, they matter. The one fumble that he did have, it came late in the game. It was the last sack that he took and was 4th and long. He's just trying to make a play because he knows we're not going to get this football back. It's late in the 4th quarter. I have to make something happen. In order for the Tennessee Titans to fully get the best out of Cam Ward, the coaching staff needs to be better. The offensive line obviously needs to be better, and they need better wide receiver talent around him. Maybe Alec A. O'Manor can develop, and Calvin Ridley would be better. I think that he will be better as the season progresses. He just had a bad game yesterday against the Broncos. Usually Calvin Ridley is one of the best route runners in the game, and he has smooth hands. We'll see if this carries over for the rest of the season or if this is just one bad game. But I don't have that much faith in Coach Callahan moving forward. I believe in their defense with Jeffrey Simmons and T'Vondre Sweat, 2 incredible defensive linemen. And you have a strong secondary. L'Jarius Sneed hasn't been that superstar cornerback that they were looking for. And you traded a draft pick to bring him in, and you paid him a massive contract. He needs to be better. Tony Pollard did the best that he could, and he's in a tricky situation. Tony Pollard is not this bell cow running back. Tajay Spears right now, he's on IR. We'll see if he's able to come back in the next 6 weeks or so. So you have Julius Chestnut and Tony Pollard. Those are your 2 running backs back there. Julius Chestnut is more so of a sledgehammer running back, while Tony Pollard will go out there and create plays at the next level with the speed and explosive ability that he has. But this is a sad state of the Tennessee Titans. I really wish that Mike Vrabel was still the head coach, but they moved off him a few years back. He's now the head coach with the New England Patriots. Because the one thing that we all know about Mike Vrabel, your offense would have an identity. They had the right pieces around Ryan Tannehill at that point in time. You had one of the best running backs in the NFL in Derrick Henry. You had an amazing outside wide receiver in A.J. Brown. They had a true aggressive nature. They have no sense of direction right now. And we can go back and say the trade with A.J. Brown and bringing in Treylon Burks in the first round was a terrible trade. We all understand that. We know that. We're just rehashing history at this point. But I wish they actually had a head coach that can go out there and develop Cam Ward to that next level and be amazing in crucial situations. And right now, they don't have that. They have this head coach that's in over his head, and he's not ready for this position. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the Tennessee Titans, and am I overreacting just because of a Week 1 loss against the Denver Broncos? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, when each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.